Hi, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the Hong Kong PropTech Association uh, panel with some very important guests today we have. And I would love you guys to meet some key investors in this space, consultant, service provider, and also a lawyer. Okay, and then they will actually tell us a little bit about themselves and how they see the impact of NFT and Metaverse in the real estate industry. And when we say real estate, we're talking about retail tech, property management, developers, constructions, anything has to do with a property, real estate related. Okay, so we're going to start with Sharon. Sharon, since you're a special guest in Hong Kong, you're all the way from the US. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself in the sense of title, company, what you do, and one short sentence that you have problem with the whole NFT and Metaverse, that people don't get it or they need to get it right for the real estate industry?
Yeah, so I'm Sharon. I've been in this space, the crypto blockchain space, for almost 10 years. So I've seen it all and done a lot. I have a lot of experience in the space from all aspects, mostly from the financial side and the regulatory side. Started out in Europe and then kind of made my way down to the States once everything started becoming more popular and more regulated. I have several different companies globally. And right now, one of my main focuses is crypto or blockchain with real estate, security tokens, and advising and consulting for that specific niche within the space. I would say that one thing that people really need to focus on is understanding their audience. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it community. You can call it investors, whatever that may be. But some Web 2 principles still kind of move over to Web 3. It's important to keep that in mind because that will basically decipher, which regulations you go with, what to be aware of, how to market things, whether it's from a regulatory point of perspective or whether it's just to that specific audience and what they prefer. So okay. That I guess is the.
Okay, great. That's good. And you look so young for so much credibility behind you. Okay, Zaf. Okay, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and then what issue you have?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Zaf. I'm the Director of Digital Strategy and Partnership at Animoca Brands. As you guys may heard of us recently, but we actually here for 20 years. We're doing a lot of mobile gaming before this Web3 hype. We are recently valuating at 5 billion valuation in Hong Kong. I mean, we're one of the unicorns based in Hong Kong. What I'm focusing right now is play to earn and also bringing different Web2 companies to Web3, trying to promote the mass adoption of NFT and Metaverse in general. So first focusing in different verticals like music, entertainment, art, fashion, and so on. So one thing that I would like you guys to be aware of is that don't get into Web3 because just that everyone is getting in it, right? Try to think about your brand message or brand essence for Web3, and remember this is just a tool for you to engage your audience. At the end, what your audience or community want is the center of your Web3 development. So nice to meet you all here.
Thanks, Zaf. Okay, Charles.
So I'm Charles Chow. I'm partner of LLN, a Hong Kong law firm. So I would say I'm a tech lawyer. I was ex-Tencent, heading up Tencent's international business group, legal. So covering mobile games, cloud computing, a lot of tech-related things. And obviously now I've been advising a lot on Web3 companies, or even MNCs who are looking into issuing NFTs or how to use NFTs for their marketing work. I would say one short sentence or issue I have is people should really know what they are buying or what NFT is. I mean, I have a lot of clients who said, yeah, we want to be in the NFT or Metaverse space, and you talk further with them and they don't actually even understand what the tech is or what they actually are doing. So it's really, even before you enter this space, I would say look into what the underlying technology is instead of just going with the hype and everybody saying, yeah, my company's now engaged in trying to throw in all the sexy words of like Metaverse and NFTs, and you ask them and it's like, you're not really doing an NFT or you're not really building a Metaverse. Yeah, we could discuss that further in the panel.
Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, and Vincent.
Hi guys, I'm Vincent. I'm with CryptoBlock. I was a software engineer for many years before I got into blockchain. So since 2016, I was running cryptocurrency exchanges and projects in Hong Kong and globally at the same time. So at CryptoBlock, I grow within the company, and also I help out growing companies, blockchain startups as a venture partners. So I invest Ethereum are below $100 and BTC below 1,000, and been through all these cycles of ICO and all that. So one issue I have is a lot of projects has a lot of marketing, a lot of noise, but no underlying values behind. It's not solving any problems. But I think this is maybe because it's a beginning of adoption, which is happens in Web 1.0, Web 2.0 too. So for the people who just come in, maybe just need to understand the blockchain technology in general, and how does the overall market works.
Okay, great, cool, thank you. So I'm gonna go and ask Zaf the tough question, because right now, I'm sure everybody know Animoca brands. They have been doing a lot of acquisition around the world, great partnerships, great initiatives. And so I'm gonna say, Zaf, tell us, what do you think about, real estate company going into Sandbox and Decentraland? I believe you are both investors in both companies, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So I think for real estate company to go in, a lot of them are trying to buy lands and one, how do I say it? Like, I think they should be more thoughtful about like what do they want to build on those land. It's not just replicating the real estate development on Web3. It's a total different engagement. As I mentioned earlier, it's just a tool for you to engage and your audience and your community. And in Web3 sense, it's not just one-way communication, because like maybe if you're traditional real estate developers in real life, you're like familiar with Web2 communication. You may be developing your IG, your Facebook account, but a lot of the communication has been done one way, and it's just like you're announcing something, and then you expect your audience to go to your events or go to your campaigns and stuff. But like in Web3, when you build something on Metaverse, and it's about creating an experience that truly touching your audience and what your audience actually wants. Like imagine, do your audience actually want to walk inside a mall in Metaverse, or do they expect something more from you? I think they expect something more from you. They may be expecting some immersive experience, or maybe in like expecting something linked to real life, or expecting something from you. So you have to know your audience and be careful. Like it may, if you don't do it well, it may actually build a bad reputation for your brand. So
yeah, so from what I'm hearing is it's more of like a marketing and R&D, because there is no real cases for real estate developers like, oh, I go into the Metaverse and I can actually make money doing this, right? There is no case studies or precedents at all at this point in time.
Well, yes and no. I mean, right now there's no like showcase right now, but like I think if you do it right, it can link it with your physical life, physical like presence, but you can actually extend your reach to global audience, because if you're a real estate developer in Hong Kong, you can only reach people in Hong Kong, right? But if you do it right and build like a really good brand in Web3, you can actually touch more audience in global wise. So it's about brand building, yes, but actually open a vertical or potential for you to earn money as well, if you do it right in the long run. And you can do it through different means. I'm not sure if you want me to go through it right now here.
No, we can do it too about that. I just I wanted to point out one thing, but you said to be different in the metaverse versus your normal mall in real life. I think the key point is that the audience in the metaverse is very different from the audience they currently have right now. Because a lot of them, yeah, right. They're very technical people, right? There may be a younger crowd. They may not even be aware of that brand because they might not go to that mall. And you say it's global, right? So definitely, and I mean, which brand has bought New World, right? They have bought. So New World's not popular in US or Europe, right? Because now they're in Sandbox, they're popular in a way.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, cool, excellent. So Vincent, okay, on this panel, you're the other, blockchain, Web3 expert here. You're doing something totally different. And you can explain a little bit, what does your company really do? Because I kind of understand you have like in supply chain, payments and stuff like that, right? Do you see yourself being valuable, like what your company does for the real estate developer? In what aspects do you feel that? And then how do you think this whole concept relate to what Zaf has just told us?
Yeah, I think for real estate companies, right? Metaverse is not the only element they can investigate into. Metaverse is still very new. The economics of Metaverse is doing very well, but so far I had not seen like a lot of traffic from the gamers, from the retailers coming in. It's not something that you open up your phones and check it every day yet. I think there's still some work need to be done to make the metaverse more mature. But the metaverse is not the only way to scale into Web3. There are like I mean, you can start small, like loyalty points in NFTs, or even if you want to hit for something more long term, can look into securitization or tokenization of real estate. This is something you can look into. Metaverse last year is since the announcement of Facebook, all the metaverse related coins has been doing very well, but we have to see how much user they onboard. Today is probably not the best day to talk about coins actually. We see this is a very volatile market. I still think that getting someone expert within the company to look into the whole general pictures of how this blockchain technology can create values is more important than just follow the trend. We are talking about Web3 now. You never know if you can start thinking about Web 4.0. I mean, just trying to create values. I see a lot of marketing companies even you say all these fashion companies, they get into, they accept crypto payments and all that. Are they trying to solve a problem or just trying to create a marketing scene? This is questionable too. So I think mostly it's, personally I'm more reserved. So I feel
you're more reserved.
Yeah.
And you're in the space. You're in the space. All right.
Yeah, because I've seen too much in the space. So I advise is maybe just try to solve a problem first and understand the technology instead of marketing first.
Yeah.
Because of the scalability. So
I think this is the problem, right? It's great advice. A lot of people, like, I'm from the Web 2 world, right? I'm kind of older than most of you guys here, except for maybe Charles. Just kidding. So where did they get knowledge or understanding how to, because it's not an easy subject to understand. It's like me trying to understand French or learn French at this point in time in my life. If I have always been in the Web 1 or Web 2 sector, it's a very shocking concept. Well, from your perspective, like, what's the best way to get in, especially you've been there for so long? Like, you know it because you learned French 16 years ago or whatever age, you started. But for a lot of people, how do they start to understand this and apply to the work?
I think for retail, there are so many information out there, right? News and all that, all this, there are more and more professional crypto news out there. But I think that the best information is just get within the communities. There are all these, the communities always knows earlier than others. Twitter is one thing too.
Twitter.
I mean, yeah, Twitter is a lot of
true.
Twitter, Reddit and all that, but this is mostly secondhand information too. If you want to get like firsthand information, you have to talk to the project owners, the exchange management to know all this info. So
okay, yeah, thank you. I mean, there's one big difference that I learned from Web 2 people and Web 3. In Web 2, it takes a lot of effort for someone to share with you, right? Or even come out and have coffee with you. In the Web 3, oh my God, everybody wants to help you. And it's like overwhelmingly niceness, right? And then it's true and it's real. They're not just saying it, they really go out and help you. I think that's the big difference. So I guess for people here, reach out and just ping in someone that you trust and then talk. I mean, let's talk about trust now, because you did say go and read, and then there's a lot of like media and stuff. I think Sharon will have a big say on reading what materials and stuff. We know that one of the company called Property in the US has been announcing and making big news and marketing and say, hey, sell your property on the blockchain and then as an NFT. How real is this? Is this even possible or legal? What's wrong with it?
I mean, there's a lot of things that are wrong with it. One, I don't understand why make something more complicated than you have to. It's kind of like Vincent said, right? What are you trying to solve? What problem are you trying to solve? And in this case, I feel like even though you're trying to solve something, in this specific niche, right, you aren't really solving it and you're just adding more steps. So one, until everything is going to be on chain in terms of transferring the deeds and the title, when you're, buying the property as an NFT, what is the NFT really, right? I mean, at the end of the day, technically it's just, you just own the piece of the picture, right? It's not connected yet legally. I mean, it's great to think that we can be able to do that, but we're just not there yet. And specifically for US, it takes a little bit longer to put, these systems in place, especially when it's something that's, more official. That's number one. Number two, the way that it's currently being done is a company is opened and then the asset is put, under that LLC. So then when you purchase that NFT, which is really unnecessary, right? Then you also have to deal with owning a company now and having that company and what that entails. And then on top of that, when you use that system, then you have to take your crypto, you have to convert it to USDC, and then you also have to buy their token, which doesn't even really have any value. And then that is an additional cost. And so it's not really necessary. Like, it's just not, what exactly are they offering?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It's not something that makes sense. You need to understand, kind of how to utilize smart contracts for right now and how to do it legally right now and how to not trigger, maybe in the future could be tomorrow, the future could be 5 days from now, and the future could be 5 months from now. But in terms of the United States, they're saying it loud and clear. They're going to go back. So even if something goes into law now, they have no issue going back and saying, oh, this person did this person did this. Okay, here's your notice, here's your notice, here's your notice. So you have to be really, really careful with what you're doing. And actually, I do think that when it comes to the more regulated activity in the space, like for example, the security tokens, I think that that's what's gonna last much longer just because it's done properly. It is really hard to be in a place where you're at the beginning stages and you know how amazing something is going to be, and it takes a really long time because you have to take your time. You don't really have a choice. You have to abide by securities regulations. And I think that this is kind of what we're seeing, right? Like Zaf was talking about how you apply this, how you merge the two worlds. Like this is kind of the way to do it. This is also a way to reach out and kind of allow the younger investors to be able to actually take part in these projects, right? So we have to take kind of what starts, you know, at a higher level and then bring it down to the masses. So that's kind of where I see the two worlds kind of coming together. And of course, you can always do that visual representation in the metaverse, or, you know, whatever other, whether it's a party there, or whether it's the marketing that you want to do there, or whether it's, you know, just some type of experience, that's fine. That's another added benefit. But for now, I think with the way that it's regulated and how costly these projects are, in order for those two worlds to merge, like that's kind of what it's going to be like at the first stage.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, yes. I guess a lot of people, especially those who has not bought a property in the United States, they need to be very careful, because there are like there's the deed, the title transfer, and like you said, the government, a lot of regulatory entity that manages real estate is not yet on chain. So what you buy, and then as an NFT, sounds cool and everything, but from a legality perspective and ownership perspective, it doesn't mean anything. It can complicate a lot of stuff, right? Yeah.
I mean, you can buy, you know, something in the metaverse. Definitely, I educate on that. I think that's another niche. I educate real estate agents and brokerages on how to kind of build that niche, you know, within their network, and how to go about that, and what that means maybe from a marketing perspective, or onboarding people into the space. Or if, you know, you want to use the smart contract like as an actual contract for rentals, for example. So those are some options that you could do at this stage in terms of NFTs. But what some are claiming that you know is real is not. So
okay, good. I'm glad we had a lawyer here. So Charles, you're the lawyer, so please advise us when it comes to buying NFT or playing in the metaverse. What is it that we need to really look at? All the extra fees, you know, all the taxation, and the legality of owning an NFT has the right to commercial use or not. Can you explain a little bit? What does that mean?
It's really important what people, as I mentioned, what are you actually buying by owning an NFT? Are you, especially if you're trying to link it to a real world property, especially real estate property, that actually creates a lot of issue. I mean, we could talk about several. I mean, let's start off with trying to connect NFTs to real estate. I think personally, it's actually a great idea on the long term if everything could be on chain. Actually, it doesn't have to necessarily even be a blockchain. It could be a government-owned, maintained database. But if everything was online and people could actually transfer instead of checking like literally thousands pieces of paper, trying to keep them after you buy a property. Actually, there's real use for that. But right now, I would say we're still in way too early stages, because for a transfer of real estate property, I would say in most jurisdictions, actually requires a lot of formalities, including keeping of the originals. You can't even e-sign, it has to be wet signed and probably signed before a lawyer, and possibly notarized and registered with the government. So unless those related laws are actually changed, you can't actually secure proper legal ownership of a real estate property through a purchase of an NFT. And that's one issue. And actually echoing what Vincent and Sharon mentioned, it's really what problem you're trying to solve, instead of trying to move everything on chain and making it sound cool and sexy. Because a lot of the times you don't actually need to have blockchain to solve the issue. And obviously there are benefits for using blockchain. Yeah, so making it broader on the question you asked about NFTs, what you're owning. I mean, a lot of people think, yeah, you're owning the JPEG, right? Why don't I just right click and save it? So what are you actually owning? I mean, going back into a bit more details, let's say you have to read into the terms and conditions of the NFT itself.
But wait a minute. can stop there because that's so important. I've been trying to find the terms and condition to my NFT. I can't find it. So where the hell, sorry.
I think if it's a
Where do I read that?
legit, if it's a more legit project nowadays, which if it's a new NFT project, you should be able to find a link on their website or on OpenSea. I'm obviously going, like, actually, the fact you raised it, one of the first NFT project, let's say CryptoPunk. Because when it was, I mean, back a number of years now, when they first created it, obviously no one was thinking of having a lawyer draft up proper TNCs. So there was actually a lot of disputes on actually what do you get from owning a CryptoPunk NFT. And then they came up with like links to Discords and posts in Discord. Actually, the project owners kind of said that you own this, but it's actually still not really clear. And then we move on to, let's say, Bored Ape. So for Bored Ape, their TNCs state that you own the full copyright if you own the NFT. But even that, on the first version on their drafting, it's actually quite unclear from especially an IP lawyer's perspective, because it mentions that you own the copyright, but then it then goes on to say you're granted a unlimited commercial license to exploit it. But then that actually, those two concepts don't sit well together, because if you own it, then you don't need a license.
Okay, all right.
And
like
moving onwards, there's now most NFTs, I would say, let's say CloneX by Artifacts, so where Nike bought them for $1 billion US. That would say that you have the unlimited personal use license and a limited commercial license for exploiting up to 1 million revenue. Otherwise, you need a separate license. So they start to have lawyers draft this, and I mean that's one thing, right? I mean, as the purchase of NFT, are you actually able to read and understand all these TNCs and know what you're buying, or with some other more scam?
But isn't that such a good thing for lawyers now, that everything you do with NFT or what are you going to buy, we should talk to a lawyer first?
Yeah, I think a lot of NFT new projects, definitely they should engage a lawyer to come up with a proper set of TNCs, especially if you're creating a new project.
Right. And also buying, right? Especially if you're buying like, a couple $100, maybe you don't need to worry about it. But if you're going to buy like over 50, 60, 70, 100,000 US, I think you should talk to a lawyer, right?
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
rules will be different in US and in Hong Kong versus China or versus Europe. Am I correct? I'm not sure you can buy NFT in China though.
Yeah, I think on the just as a purchaser, I think I would say actually the laws would be pretty similar, although the governing law of the TNCs would be different.
Okay.
It does rely back on the basic intellectual property laws, so that is actually quite clear. But it's understanding what the TNCs actually say if you're trying to buy But as a project owner, it's really important to have a well-drafted set of TNCs, or even if you're using intellectual property of a third party, to create.
It's easy to be sued. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you actually infringing a third party's IP when you create a project?
Cool. Excellent. So Vincent, back to you. You're in the crypto world. You hear all these stuff the lawyer has been saying, right? Do you think the lawyer is just bullshitting, or is it something that you really believe everybody needs to pay attention? And it's not just a bunch of, like legal fluff.
I think for NFT, right, there usually no TNC. The only TNC you see is some sort of TNC is all these influencers, KOL endorsement of this JPEG, right? I mean, people, a lot of projects start having Discord before you have a website. So when, I mean, a lot of we call it sharing going on Discord, and then most people, they don't buy. I mean, they don't look at the TNC even if they have want. A lot of people buy this NFT because they feel like there's a high chance they will sell it for much higher price, right? And then it's a lot of projects are very short lifespans. But except the big one, I mean the big one with CryptoPunk and all this, because they have all these crypto native, right? I mean over these few years they have all these crypto native, like super OG guys, when they buy into this project, they and their friends will get into together. But everything has a lifespan. You never know how long it goes. I mean, you never know how long it takes. For the security piece, I mean, there are more paperwork. I mean, the legals usually involve more. They are more complicated. Right now, if it's in a good market, crypto market, still is not so attractive, not so sexy. So, but in the bad market, the security token is more demanding. There like what Charles said, is not so mature yet. Yeah, I mean, that's why the property companies can get in and start thinking about not only tokenize the property, how about you tokenize rentals and all that, can start digging into it. There are some security token exchange available in, let's say in Singapore. There's one who backed by Temasek and all that. I mean, those, I think for real estate, maybe security is a better chance to disrupt the market. So
Yeah, but then that's a very hard concept. I mean, like this idea came 4 years ago.
right.
There was a company who was trying to build like a smart contract, a blockchain, the chain, to manage, leasing contracts. So like, the KYCs are done automatically, and then there's smart contract controlling rentals and stuff and returns and, and then terminations of leases. Do you think that anyone's ready to do that now? It's 4 years ago that I first heard this concept, but is there anyone who's doing this?
Yeah, I advise for a company that does exactly just that. And it's going to change the entire industry.
Right. And then are they ready to release their service soon?
We're going to be launching in end of May.
Okay.
And I'm piloting that with a really big brokerage here in Miami. And basically, what Zillow and all of these companies were kind of capitalizing on all of this data, this is also going to change that as well. They're not going to own this data, and really you can come in. One, obviously you can pay in crypto. So that's going to solve also a lot of issues for many people here that, I mean, I don't know how it is in Hong Kong or in Asia, but in the States, there's the whole credit system and, a lot of people based off of how they're getting paid, this young generation, only your OnlyFans, your very specific kind of jobs, right? That you maybe don't have, the same income, or you don't work for a company where you can kind of, see all of the flow of funds. So they have an issue in terms of signing a lease. But if these, young new investors, right, or whoever it may be, have enough crypto to fork up for even maybe 3 or even sometimes a year in advance, why not give them that opportunity, right? And they can be paid to see, they can do everything. Everything is on chain. There's a rating system, so you can be able to see also from the tenant or from the owner or from the agent side, kind of how that transaction went. It streamlines it much faster, so you don't have to spend so much time going back and forth and the paperwork and et cetera, et cetera. You have a bidding option, right, which is something.
So I assume everything's online, right, for them to do one click and to take care of the whole process, the leasing and everything.
Yeah, but it just makes it much more efficient. So I think, yes, we're 100% ready for it. And this is what's happening right now.
Okay, yeah. Which is great. So Zaf, from your perspective, I mean, like, I remember, I believe in one of your talk, you mentioned about you guys are also trying to find a way, or already have found a way, to link the metaverse with the offline assets, because a lot of your clients are real estate developers, or have real estates around the world, right? And mainly in Hong Kong. Share some ideas for our audience, right? That is happening, that people may not have seen yet, but it's coming. What are some of the things you think can help the real estate industry from the Web3 sector?
I think rather than linking the physical assets, because what we're doing right now, like gaming or like bringing those like fashion or music brands onto Web3, they're all digital. Like for linking the physical assets, I think what Sharon mentioned earlier is really interesting, the credit scoring part, because like we have a lot of play to earn players in Southeast Asia, maybe not in Hong Kong, but like in Southeast Asia, a lot of people are earning money from playing games, and this credit scoring is actually helping. I mean, they don't have real life income, but they are earning a lot from the crypto space. And we have company that leveraging the on-chain data, because like you can't really change anything, and it's really reliable. And we're leveraging those on-chain data for credit scoring, maybe for buy now pay later, maybe for leasing. I think it's really going to be useful in the future, and in the other side of the world as well. And also the review part is really important. Like credit scoring is one part. You can see how much a person is earning on blockchain, but like for example, if you want to see the quality of the tenant, like I think the review part on blockchain was going to be useful as well.
Okay, cool, wonderful. Right, so we're coming to the latter end before we move into the Q&A section. So I want to have a quick fire question for you guys, right? You know, excluding your own company and any portfolio company that your company owns, can you guys name one Web3 company that you find personally, so this is not advice for anybody to go buy it or anything like that, that you find very impressive and why? So we'll start with you, Vincent.
Yeah, for me, it's always exchange. I mean, for me, Binance is when I started investing, Binance is not even there. And then in these few years, they have so many users. They hire the best talent. They are very, very creative. They have a Binance chain. They have lots of liquidities. They create a lot of wealth. For the underbank especially. I mean, you've seen all the CG from they become the super huge and yeah. So
since you mentioned Binance, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
One key difference between Binance and FTX and also crypto.com. Why I think them and not these two?
I mean, I like Sam too. I mean, Sam is good. Sam Bankman is good too. I mean, they are focusing more on FTX is focusing more on institution side. Binance more for retails. I think it's a different strategy. And then in terms of Binance, doesn't really raise fund, lots of bootstrap. But FTX do a lot of fundraising. So it can be a different game here. So.
Okay, cool, great, thank you. Sharon, what about you?
I mean, I guess I can mention local, the company I advise for, what I was just saying, which that is more relevant to how I see NFTs or smart contracts being used in the real estate space specifically. But
what's the name of the company?
Local, LOQL. Yeah, you guys will be hearing about us very, very soon. So that's one of the companies. There are several other companies just in general in the crypto space that I think are going to be changing things. Nexo, and their partnership with MasterCard and what they're doing in terms of, being able to utilize your crypto without really converting it, right? And not causing that taxable event. I think that was huge. And then there's several other different companies that are helping kind of build in the space, whether it's offering, the APIs or just the infrastructure for people to really kind of go and get their projects out there. So I think those are, some of the things that we should keep our eye on. Okay, cool.
Charles?
I was actually having a hard decision deciding between either Alameda Research, so FTX with SPF, or Animoca. I think the common theme is both groups of companies actually has to have a very steady cash flow, and then the ability to keep investing in a quite large portfolio of Web3 companies and Web3 space. Because I think we all well, at least everyone here, I think we agree that Web3 is the future and there would be a lot of growth, but really trying to pick one single company as the winner is really difficult. So it is important to have a diversified holding. So both of these companies or groups allow them to do that.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Zaf, I'm interested here because you're in a lot of projects, I say, and you guys have been buying a lot of company, but I would love to hear from you. What do you think are outstanding?
Well, since all the audience, I mean, most of our audience here are from Hong Kong, I'm gonna name one Hong Kong company. Well, a lot of like exciting projects overseas, but like in Hong Kong, there's a company called Dotted. They are multi-chain social wallet. Like I think it's a fun idea because like you sometimes you want to text someone who owns a specific NFT, but there's no way that you can communicate with that person. So it's a multi-chain wallet that they're creating, and you can text the person with like some token as some incentive for people to read your message. And it's like adding the social aspect or adding the Instagram like social aspect onto different NFT space. And I think it's really brilliant ideas. And they have custodian wallet for like corporate, they want to drop their audience or community NFT, but they don't know or they think asking people to download MetaMask is too much of a work. So they have custodian wallet for brand to drop NFT to their audience and to communicate with them later on. So it's a great marketing tool.
Wow, I think it's an amazing idea. I would dig that. Is there any way people, I guess, normal people can invest in that company early on? Are you guys going to open that up for us?
Yeah, we're leading around. Let me send you guys the link in the chat so you can have a better look into the company. If you're interested to know more, you can contact me.
Oh, nice. Thank you. That's wonderful. Okay, we're kind of like at the end of our question section, and I wanted to start the Q&A early because we have a lot of questions, right? In addition to that, I wanted to bring on a special guest we have. We have a surprise panel guest. This company recently, I think it's the latest to a bunch of investors that just bought a plot of land in Sandbox. So can we have Dan Wong from MTR? He's the general manager of global innovation from the MTR corporation. We would love him to come on stage with us. And then I think there is a perfect question for him. So hi, Dan. We would love to. You want to turn on your camera? Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, wonderful. So perfect timing. I thank you for joining us, and it was great to have you. There is a question that I think you're perfect for, right? For property, brick and mortar business, is the metaverse something fundamentally different? I'm sure you can answer that because you guys are considered also a real estate developer, right? You guys have a lot of property projects. How should developer and investor or owners whose physical core business is building and managing physical properties look at the metaverse? Why?
That's a very broad question. I think for us, and we recently announced that we bought a plot of land in the Sandbox, and it's really our first foray into this new space. And I think it's going to go in different phases. And I think, before I answer that question, maybe I'll say a little bit kind of some of the logic of why we took that step. And I think many people looking at it at MTR would say that it seems like quite remote for what we do. And a bit the logic right now is that, kind of the same for all types of companies, including very traditional companies like ours. We're finding we need to find ways to engage with our customers and our community. And, what we've seen with Web3 is that people are using new tools, new platforms to communicate. For example, lots of these projects are kind of occurring on platforms like Discord, which has been around for quite a while, but it's not typically the kind of channel we use to reach out. And so a little bit kind of this is giving us a chance to find ways to engage a bit more actively in a way that's quite different for us. So I think kind of that's the first step that we're thinking about. And certainly there are many other possibilities that we can think of. I think to the question around, okay, well, it seems that Web3 and, all this is very, very digital, right? What's the connection between digital and physical? And I think certainly here, and we have some ideas here, that we see some opportunity where we might be able to be a bridge between this digital and physical, whether that is right in Hong Kong, we have our transportation. So we have our metro here, we have rail, we have bus, we have residential property, commercial, we have parking lots, malls.
Yes.
And I think all of those are really quite different. And, I think a little bit, to the extent that, right, we look at kind of, this from a user perspective, is there an opportunity here to have both digital and physical experiences, right? Recently, some of my team members and I just started playing around. I mean, kind of their new projects that try to bridge that gap, okay? They're projects, for example, you can move around, you can walk, you can run, and by the way, earn money so that you can then move to earn, right?
Right.
And so I think this is at least a little bit of the angle we're starting to think about. And so I think it's early days, and I think it's early. Our idea is that we're going to try some different things, but part of that thinking, right? I mean, so there's going to be a part of I think what we do that's it's purely digital, and whether it's engagement or things like that. So I think we're going to, and we will soon see likely some experimentation in terms of ways to move this around and to combine. If you were to take a look at our situation in Hong Kong, I mean, if you live in Hong Kong, there are many times during the day that you might come in contact with us. You'll be riding the metro in the morning to and from work, going through our stations, our physical stations. You might walk through some of our malls. You might live in some of our properties, right? So I think there are lots of these touch points where we might become a bridge to the metaverse, but this is early days. Yeah, so we're the first step in experimentation.
Okay, so a very more financial question. How do you measure? Or is like, I was asked me so early on, and me and Zaf talked about this, mainly like right now, R&D and also marketing. From your perspective, how do you measure the ROI? This is one of the questions that came from the audience. How do you measure ROI when investing in the metaverse? Or is there a need to even have an ROI when you do?
I think there are two sides to that. To like any project, including a kind of a project that might appear quite remote, you need to have some internal metrics for success in some ways, right? It doesn't need to be kind of your traditional ROI in terms of earning money. It doesn't have to be that. It could be metrics, for example, in this early phase of are we actually getting more engagement? Are we able to kind of reach a target audience maybe that normally we don't have interaction with? So there could be metrics around that are maybe not quote unquote ROI. So there's one side of it. So I would say that we do need to have for each part of this project, each phase, different types of metrics, if you will. But at the same time, I think there's a mentality that I think is quite important here, which is it's very early. There's lots of experimentation needed, and so you need to leave a bit of space here. Whereby you kind of back a little bit, hold a little bit, kind of the big company habit of analyzing and answering all the questions before you move ahead. And so I think here we've achieved a good balance here. And so I think there are some things we're thinking about. We're just going to move with it.
Okay.
And then the process of learning will then help us to iterate. Okay. So it's a balance between the two.
All right. I think it's a fun balance. I see very exciting. Now, this is a question for the more legal aspect. I think Charles can go and Sharon can go after that if you have anything different to say. If you're recording a property transaction on a blockchain and there is a problem with the property, like transaction specs, etc., what can be done legally?
I think first of all, whether you could even record a property transaction on the blockchain with legal effect is questionable. As I mentioned, that there are laws and compliance issues that you have to comply with. But assuming that is all sorted, that's a big if, and the smart contract documents something incorrect, then it's up to the community itself whether they agree to roll back the transaction or to allow the correction. If not, I mean, there are numerous examples where smart contracts are programmed incorrectly, maybe with one line of code, and all the tokens, Ethereum, like hundreds of millions, are sent to an unknown, inaccessible address, and it's gone forever.
So basically, if you buy it, you just have to trust the system. And if you don't read the fine line, then if something goes wrong, there's actually...
I would say that's why it's really important before something of such high value, and especially real estate, it's actually usable in using blockchain in everyday life. I think a lot more vetting has to be done into the underlying, even the actual smart contract itself, whether the code is accurate, because it could be a honest mistake, but then it's still irreversible given the nature of blockchain.
Okay, right. I mean, Sharon, I mean, like, there's a question actually specifically for you. With regards to the new project you mentioned, given the drop in crypto yesterday, okay, and it might go down even more, right, with the instability of inflations and everything, what protection do seller and buyers have in the new platform that you're building? So, you know.
I mean, you can break it down into several different factors, right? So in terms of whoever is paying for it, I mean, if at that point in time, this is an advantage for them, and in most cases it is, then it may not affect them as much. And then in terms of the seller, I mean, he's not, you know, they don't have to deal with that. So it's whatever it is, the price that they want is going to be, you know, similar to how it's in USD. There'll be that representation in crypto. For this specific platform, it's going to be based on Cardano blockchain. But if we're just talking about in general, it is what it is, you know, unfortunately. And for some it's great, and for some it's not. And I think we're just kind of at that stage where, I mean, I don't think it's going to be what it was, you know, 2-3 years ago, or even a year ago. I think that everything kind of bounces back up pretty quickly. But we also have to remember that it's not just, you know, the crypto market, it's the market, the financial market in general, everywhere in the world, because we're seeing a shift in everything, right? So it's not something that you can just pinpoint specifically on crypto. And I don't think that means or affects it negatively. I still think that there are a lot of people who can benefit from this.
Right. Okay, cool. So, okay, for Vincent, right, this question is specifically to you. Do you see social networks that can be created by people that lives in building a neighborhood with the same hobby, sports, and etc.?
So you mean by using blockchain, or?
Yeah, by using blockchain. Yeah, like I guess I'm trying to interpret the question. Let's say we sell a building, and you're using blockchain, you know, what is your preference, or what do you like, what sport you're in,
Right.
and then we just allow these people to buy for that building. I don't know how that would do with real estate, but
yeah, I'm trying to understand the question. I think
I can kind of help you guys on that, because I saw something this week that somebody did. It was like, you know, a mix of kind of, you know, like some sort of AR experience where you can basically like look at the building, and then it gives you like all of these statistics. So that's kind of a new concept that a lot of companies are testing out. And it could even be like a review of the building, maybe from the tenants, or it could be just any data that you really want to put in that system, kind of like, I mean, I don't know if what you guys use in Asia, but like in America, Yelp is really big, like in terms of rating businesses. So it's kind of like another tool for that, I guess.
That'd be interesting. That's a lot of data privacy a taboo there. I don't know if anybody really wanted to expose their and we can.
No, I mean, it's just like a visual representation of what you would put online anyways. Right. Except for it just has that more, like, I guess, immersive experience. Sure. And like, you know, you go, you scan it, you see it.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like, this is what the future is going to be like anyways, you know, whether it's going to be in a contact lens, or whether it's going to be in the, you know, the headsets, or whether it's going to be eyeglasses, we don't know. But eventually I think that this is kind of where this world is headed, right?
Yeah.
In terms of technology.
Maybe another 10 years, and I don't think we're ready yet.
No, not yet, but, you know.
Yeah, Vince, what do you think? Do you think that's a doable idea?
I mean, it's doable, but why do you need blockchain for it, right? It can be centralized too. I mean, not everything need to be in blockchain. I mean, this is another question too. And what kind of values? I mean, it's interesting, but what kind of value what kind of value do you bring? What kind of I mean, was there for. I mean, it's fun. I mean, you can do much more sales, and you have all this data. You can do a lot of predictive,
Right.
and then you can have all these actionable ads or things like that. But I mean, this you still need to know what kind of problems you're trying to solve instead of just fun and interesting. So.
Okay, interesting. Okay, now Zev, I believe this is a question that you have to answer since you're really in this space. Do you think NFT can thrive on its own? I know NFT is really early on, utility use and all that stuff is still in debate. Or does it have to be used along with the metaverse to have a sustainable growth?
Well, I think NFT can thrive, but with community and utility support. I mean, whether it's in Metaverse or whether it's in some other form of utility, I mean, it has to be engaging its community and has sustainable utility in the long run to be successful. Like Metaverse is just one representation or one form of interaction, but it can, I mean, it's just a tool for creativity. And I think we're just at really early stage, and we're seeing really creative ideas of how to use NFT or Metaverse in engaging the audience they have. We're still seeing a lot of like innovation in the space. So, I mean, in short, I don't think it has to go with Metaverse, but it has to go with utility and community.
Right, and then that it's for a use case right now. There's a big debate with Yoga Lab, who owns the Board Ape, right? And then a lot of people, like, there's a big camp that says they're going to fail, right? Because, you know, it was all a bubble. And part of the camp believes that they have a business model in the brewing, where they're allowing the owners to have access to commercial use of the brand, and they're creating restaurants and gyms and movies and film. Do you think they're on the right track?
Yeah, I mean, we're helping them with the project. I think they're on the right track, and I think it's just about like brand building, just like all the other brands, right? I mean, maybe the speculation of the price, but is a financial tool somehow. So the speculation would come down at the end. I'm not saying it's a bubble that will burst, but like the price would be more stabilized when the utility comes into like clear to everyone, and it's about the brand building into different kind of like facilities or different kinds of utility the owners can access to.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in like that right now with the whole Web3 and decentralization, autonomous with the DAO and everything, it's allowing people to actually own a brand and build the business the way they see it, right? Because before, the brand controls the brand. Like, you would never be able to have an access to Gucci or Chanel and build your own Gucci and Chanel purse. But now they're allowing you to do with whatever Bored Ape you have, whatever brand you buy, you own that, and you have a line to build that business. Am I kind of correct in that thinking?
Exactly. I think is a really good way of thinking that way. And because like traditionally, if you want to build a brand that worth that much of money, it's going to take like years because you're the only one who's controlling the brand building, right? But right now you're dedicating that brand building to the 10K Bored Ape owner. And it's actually like speeding up the process much quicker.
Yeah, I think I really believe Web3 is really changing the way business has been done in the past, and how what future business will look like. Well, I'm going to go back to Dan. My last question, I'm itching to know. So you chose Sandbox for a reason, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a lot of Hong Kong developers that's in the Sandbox already. Is there a plan or a strategy in line that you're going to collaborate with them to build something that we don't know about in the Sandbox?
Well, certainly, Sandbox is, kind of, they're starting out. And I think, anybody Sandbox is working with, including us, is, we definitely have some thoughts about how we might use that land, right? And so I think there are lots of discussions happening with Animoca. That's certainly our first go ahead. At this point, we can't say too much about exactly what it's going to be. So please be, please look out for it. But we definitely have plans of how we might use that space. It's kind of, very interesting also in the sense that it's one of those projects that, we're working internally with different departments. And, it's small to begin with, but we're also discussing all these questions we're having here today. What are the legal aspects of this one? how do we deal with our crypto wallet here in a
Yes.
corporate environment? So all these things that need to come together to make this work. And so all I can say is that we're doing lots of the groundwork now, so that we can start building on top of it. Clearly, Sandbox is a great choice that we're looking at. I mean, they're
You're not saying because Zaf is on the panel, right?
I'm not just saying that, right? We've kind of put our money where our mouth is. We are on the Sandbox. There is a part, I must admit it as well, that there is a part, I mean, of course, Sandbox is global.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a Hong Kong connection. And it's being I wouldn't say, so we're a Hong Kong headquartered company. And so there is a part of what we do, right? And that, which is, can we support more Hong Kong innovation? And of course, Animoca and some of the global brand, but there's that connection there.
Excellent.
And I think that's another added plus in terms of this cooperation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, we're perfectly on time. We answered pretty much all the questions, so thank you so much for all the panels and all the attendees who's been here. I hope you guys have as much fun and learning as I have. And we will send out the recording to everybody. And then we'll send out the post on LinkedIn and everything too. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you guys have a nice week. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, have a great week. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.